If you're a videographer or self-shooter, there are two types of filmmaking you most often have to deal with. The first is run and gun style shoots where you're adapting to your environment, pivoting, making compromises. And then there's the more controlled type of shoot where you're able to dial in all of your lighting, get your frame looking exactly how you'd like it. Now, I think most filmmakers get really good at one of these types of shoots and quietly build a career around never having to do the other. But being able to work in both environments is a huge advantage. Before we get into the video though, my name's Henry. I'm a self-shooting director / lighting camera operator. I work mostly in Bristol and London, and my focus is on documentary and lifestyle content. On this channel, I share most of my learning points from jobs that I've been on basically, and kind of reflect on what I can take away from them. This video, I'm sharing 3 different shoots. They're all very different and I think make for some very interesting talking points about kind of the pacing of each shoot. Before that though, I haven't done a video like this in a while, kind of like a chill vlog where I'm just chatting to you guys. I want to give you a bit of an update about what I've been up to, because some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the vlogs is still part of like freelance life. It's just maybe not quite as interesting. This clip you're seeing now is from me. Last Saturday, I've been running filmmaking workshops once a week for young people, pretty locally to me. So I just cycled to a nearby village and I've been running those with a couple of others. That's been really nice. It's something different and it's regular work. Speaking of regular work, this again isn't the most interesting, particularly for people on this channel, but it's all part of my freelance journey. I've been working a day a week for a charity that I was interning with last summer, been doing marketing stuff for them. So that's also been great. And then I got some passion projects on as well. And as I said in the last vlog, I've just got stuff on the back burner, some pretty major projects that I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. I'm just waiting, basically either waiting for the shoot dates or waiting for things to get approved so I can get to work. I'm helping to run some children's workshops today. About 4 weeks in, and I found this cute little coffee shop in Milton, which is not too far from where I live, in this little village. I had to cycle through like a mud track to get here, but it's really sweet. It's like a country park near here. There's a swimming club, some crazy like wild swimmers. You can just kind of see them through the railings there. Cool spot, which I found completely by chance, but I might come back here just for a little weekend adventure. I don't do this enough, so I'm going to plug my Instagram. You can find me at Henry Makes Films. I post a similar kind of thing to what you see over here, but more of the results and the outcomes instead of like behind the scenes setups and things. But I do post little snippets of things on my stories that might not make it over here on YouTube. So what was this first shoot? It was a documentary style thing, or it was a documentary. I was working with a small crew. There's maybe 4 or 5 of us shooting. The gentleman in this photo, Nigel, is the one who brought me on. He's a talented DP. He's an OG FX9 owner operator. Really cool guy, and I'm really glad to be part of this project. It's definitely a different type of thing. You can see I was shooting all on their cards, so that definitely forces you to be more focused, more disciplined. When you're editing your own work, there's less pressure to get stuff which is workable and kind of easy to understand if you're looking at it for the first time. I pushed the ISO to 6400. I was on my 2.8 lens and an f4 lens, which had a speed booster as a Canon lens, so that worked out to about f2.8 as well. A lot of people think with both base ISOs that you can't push them higher than the actual ISO number. All the second base ISO means on most Sony cameras is the noise level cleans up, right? So if you're shooting at ISO 1250 with the 800 base ISO, it's kind of the same as shooting a couple ISO numbers above 3200, if that makes sense. You do miss out on dynamic range, but you'll see some of the final shots in a minute. There's like some windows in the back, but most of the shoot was at night. So firstly, I didn't care if the windows blew out in the back, because it doesn't matter what's outside. It's not completely distracting. It's not overly bright, but if we lose information there, that's fine. So I'm not worried about dynamic range, and the image is still clean enough at 6400 ISO. You can see I was basically stage side camera operator. We had Nigel's son, Tim, in the crowd. He had a shoulder rig. He was getting some nice coverage kind of front on with the band. I was getting profile shots, shooting across the band, getting inserts of their instruments, reactions, going onto the stage where I could to get little moments when they finished their set, and then pivoting to get shots of the crowd. It's Feature Henry here. I forgot that I actually had some shots of my screen of some of the clips that I got. Obviously I was handing over the cards, so couldn't show you guys the original footage, but I thought I'd throw this in here just to see, so you can see the type of coverage I was getting. So I was on a 16-35 for this shot, I think, to get some nice wide shots to pivot to the crowd. 16mm was definitely too wide, but around the 24 mark was working quite nicely for me. And then on my 28-70, I switched lens. We've kind of been doing continuous takes, so I'd frame up for a nice shot, hold on to one for a while, and then basically hunt for my next frame. It's really fun getting different inserts, coverage, little bits they can cut in with all the other angles. I think they've got some really nice stuff to work with. It's really hard to find particular clips that I can share with you guys, so I just kind of let it roll for a bit so you can see kind of the way I was thinking and how I like to work. But hopefully they'll be able to make something out of the footage that I shot for them. The next shoot actually happened on the same weekend, but this one came before. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show this now. So this was a much slower paced shoot. I was working with Michael Sides. He was a technical, or still is a technical instructor on my university course. And he mainly works as a gaffer, so I didn't know he did self-shooter work like this. It was really nice of him to bring me on, so we basically got to play with the stuff that I don't normally get to use in my portable travel lighting kit. We had diffusion frames, flags, booms, C-stands, like all of the heavy duty stuff which I don't normally get opportunity to play with, we got to use here. Ben, the director, basically wanted to use this interview to generate interest for the film. This was the main interview for his documentary that he's making about antibiotic resistance, but yeah, so he's using this interview in the film, but he wanted it to look really nice so he could generate interest to potentially get funding to shoot the rest of the interviews and make that look nice as well. Something to note, well, firstly, I like that he printed out these frames. That was really great as a reference because I hadn't been there for any like pre-production calls or anything, so it just quickly enabled me to just see the look that he was going for and framing and things like that. Another note is this is like a teaching space in the Wills building was amazing because you can see in the back of shot there are these blinds we could bring down. So there are blinds over to the other side just behind where I was shooting in this clip where we were able to just bring them all down and actually get the space looking really nice without even turning the lights on. This last shoot was even slower pace, so you can see what I've done. I've gone from this run and gun style shoot to a slow interview day where we have 2 hours to set up to then shooting some wildlife. So this is definitely not what I'm used to. I'm not a wildlife shooter, but I want to transition into doing more documentary work. I think a nice spec piece where I've shot this myself, I've created a story, I've got some nice coverage is a really great selling point when you're trying to get employed by broadcasters to do natural history stuff and be a documentary shooter. So yeah, I thought I'd try my hand at doing some wildlife shooting, and I want to say the A7 IV is a fantastic camera. When shooting outside, it's a fantastic camera for this type of thing because you have access to a 4K crop mode, clear image zoom, which definitely degrades the image a little bit, but if you want to really punch in and get a nice looking shot, you can punch in even further. You see that in a minute. But yeah, I was filming frogs my dad works as a gardener, so one of his clients had, this pond was full of frogs, like 100 frogs, and I got some really great stuff. This was obviously like I don't know what the word is, like self-organized. There was no one there to be like, this is the story we're going for, this is how much footage we need to get. So I was just making a judgment in my head of like, okay, I'm gonna get some movement shots, I'm gonna get some establishing shots, some nice close-ups. But I have this little tripod which comes off the bottom of a monopod. It's pretty heavy duty, and then I took this small fluid head from my travel tripod, which you've seen on this channel. That worked really well in combination because I'm able to stay pretty low, just above the level of the frogs, but like you feel like you're there with them, which is really nice. And you can see I'm just kind of trying to get some interesting coverage. I've actually got some footage to show you guys in a minute, a little bit later on, but I'll show you. The A7 IV is just a fantastic camera because it has all of these bindings so you can quickly change things. I've dialed mine in so I'm able to just very quickly switch between different modes. The custom modes mean I can quickly switch to crop mode, which is in 50 frames a second. It just is by default because of how the camera works. You basically have to be in crop mode to shoot 50p footage, but that was actually playing to my advantage here, because I definitely avoid it for low light stuff, but you get a pretty clean image when shooting outside. And then you can see this is clear image zoom working, which basically is a way to punch in even further on your image without losing too much resolution. Now, because this was not going to broadcasters, it's going on YouTube. Like, that's the highest quality place it's going to go. You can see the image is breaking apart. It's pretty soft. That was a 4K crop sensor image with clear image zoom. And you can see this is now a 4K image, which I've cropped in, and it holds the information a lot better. But because this is just going on social media, what was more important for me is getting the focal lengths that I wanted to achieve. My longest length is 70 mil is the longest focal length I have access to. So being able to punch in and get these closer shots and story elements was really great. What I'm showing here is I actually lost some information in these kind of like speckles where the sun was reflecting off the frogs. I couldn't have exposed for that or like compensated too much because it was so bright, just bouncing light off the frogs. You can see here I got some landscape shots at another spot where I know there are frogs to kind of cut in with the two and make something that looks quite interesting, and not that I've just sat by someone's pond for an afternoon. I've seen other natural history projects, spec work, and this is what they actually do for broadcast wildlife packages. People will get like stick insects, put them in their living room, shoot a load of close-up inserts of them there, and then they'll go out and get the landscape shot. So that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve here. Obviously, I didn't bring frogs into my bedroom and create a backdrop and stuff like that, but it's a similar kind of thing. You wouldn't be able to get this close to frogs in the wild. There are just so many that I didn't really have to worry about scaring them off or anything, because there was just hundreds of them and they were just chilling in the sun. I've kind of talked about everything I want to talk about in this video. 3 different types of shoots: the run and gun style one in a bigger documentary team and shooting for someone else, which is always interesting. Then a more controlled shoot where we're dialing in lighting. Having 2 hours to set up for an interview was luxurious and really nice to be able to use like a big negative fill flag and kind of bring things in and dial things in more so than I'd usually be able to do. And the objective there was to make it look nice. That's why we were getting hired. And then there was obviously everything I've just been talking about with the frogs, a self-organized project, trying to make something of, there was no like structure to it. It was just like, I'm shooting what's in front of me. In a way it is reactive, but there's no plan necessarily. It's just like, we're going here to capture coverage and then we'll make something of it afterwards. So that was the most relaxed shoot because I was there for about 2 hours, but I could have stayed for the whole day if I'd wanted. Yeah, I hope that was interesting somehow. I thought they'd make some good learning points, and I will be back very soon. As I said when I gave you guys a little update at the start, a lot of projects on the back burner, but I have a very busy 2 weeks after this week, so I'm just trying to get some editing out the way. I've been picking up a lot of editing work, which is definitely not my favourite thing to do, but it pays the bills and kind of tides me over before shoots get confirmed and things get locked in. So that's been good. Anyway, that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next video.